Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pro Wrestling Mecca of the world right here in Cleveland, Ohio. I am your dangerously, dashingly, strikingly, amazingly, sexy, breathtaking, handsome, charming, good-looking host, Nick. And with me, as always, is nobody, because this is not the Pro Wrestling Podcast. This is PWP TV. The Pro Wrestling Podcast will be airing this Sunday as usual. I am your host, Nick, from the regular show, which is the Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you want to hit up the show, the Gmail is prowrestlingpod@gmail.com. Once again, prowrestlingpod@gmail.com. The Twitter page is @ProWPodcast. Once again, @ProWPodcast. Available on iTunes Podcast App, Amazon Alexa, Spreaker, and many, many more. Or maybe more to come. Hinting something. Possibly. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. I probably shouldn't have teased anything, but we have some things in the works in terms of how to access this show. Now, with all that being said, we are going to be wrapping up Controversies Month. It has been a really somber month and a very unfortunate one to really start the whole themed months. It really is somber because we've talked about mass transit, we've talked about the death of Owen Hart, and what else? The curtain call, Montreal Screwjob. So what a better way to end it with one of my personal favorite controversies in wrestling, and that is Bash at the Beach 2000. Now, 2000 was a very interesting time, not just for WWE, not just for WCW, not even for ECW, for any wrestling fan. And the reason why I say that is because back then in 2000, you had three companies still. ECW was hanging on by a thread, and I say that because their days were clearly numbered. You had WCW, who had the financial backing from Ted Turner, but AOL's closing in on a deal. And then you had WWE, who was doing WWE things, and we clearly know who won the Attitude Era, the Monday Night War, however you want to phrase it. Doesn't really matter much. But anyway, I digress. So what happened, to set it up a little bit, right? Hulk Hogan was under contract to WCW. However, he had a creative control clause in his contract, which why any promotion, especially WCW statute, would give a creative control clause to someone like Hulk Hogan is beyond me. Because, this isn't like this is the 80s and you don't know what you have with Hulk. This was 2000. You know Hulk Hogan's reputation. You know he plays politics. So why are you giving him a creative control clause? If he's not going to sign because of that, you might as well let him walk, because WWE ain't giving him creative control. I never understood why they gave him creative control. He's name value. He's worth every penny, and I fully agree. That's neither here nor there. I'm getting off track. Anyway, so he has creative control, right? Now, the champion for WCW at the time was Jeff Jarrett. And this was also during the Vince Russo, I'm going to book whatever and just hope it sticks to the wall era. And the whole plan all along was for Jeff Jarrett to beat Hulk Hogan, and then Booker T challenged Jeff Jarrett for the WCW championship or World Heavyweight Championship. Well, depending on who you ask, and this is where things kind of get a little tricky, because they always say that there's two sides to every story. I really think with the whole Bash at the Beach incident, there's like 3, maybe 4 or 5. But if Hulk Hogan, let's start with him. Hulk Hogan claims that the plan was to have Jarrett beat Hogan clean. Come on, Hulk. Beat Hogan clean, and then the next night, or like take Hulk off TV, and then after a while, he was going to show up and face Jeff Jarrett again. That's according to Hulk Hogan. The story, according to Vince Russo, is that he wanted Jarrett to win to get Jeff Jarrett over because he was trying to build around newer guys. He has, just like Hogan, he has a reputation. So it's very hard to determine who was right, who was wrong. But anyway, so I feel like a piece of hair on my microphone. It is utterly disgusting. Look at that. What is that? That's sick. That was on my microphone, and it was hanging on a stand. Anyway, Russo claims that he wanted Jarrett to win, and then he would start a feud with Booker T. So, with all that being said, it's match time. Hogan comes out first, then Jeff Jarrett comes out. The moment the bell rings, Jeff Jarrett just lays down. We see Hogan in disbelief. We see Vince Russo on the outside holding the belt up saying, well, you want this? Then pin him, and like throwing the title over there. Hogan just pins him 1, 2, 3, gets on the microphone, and I'm going to use this as a microphone for seconds, my Fire TV remote. Now, this is why the company's in the shape that it's in. It's because of BS like this. And he storms off. Now, I can't remember the match, and you have to follow that up. So there was another match in place, whatever that match was. And then after that, Russo comes from the back, and he shoots on Hogan. And he says, Hogan doesn't want to do business. He wants to play the creative control card, blah, blah, blah. He says that, as long as he's living, he's not in the GD grave. Hulk Hogan will never be back in WCW, which he wasn't. This was Hogan's last WCW appearance. And it was very swan song-like, when you have a big star like Hulk Hogan. And he wants to leave the company. He airs his grievances, and then 6 months later, you close your doors anyway. So I feel like this was a very everyone wants to say the finger poke of doom was the start of the downfall of WCW, and I believe that to be true. I think WCW was over at Bash at the Beach 2000, in my personal opinion. Yeah, they went on to have a couple more pay-per-views, but I think this was kind of the end. But anyway, so yeah, Russo cuts a promo, he leaves. And that was that. I mean, that was pretty much the end of it. Jarrett and Booker would wrestle. They had a pretty decent match. I believe Booker won it. It was his very first of 4 more to come in 6 months. Just goes to show you the booking there. So all around, what do I think? First off, I don't even know where to begin because you have all these different sides. You have Hogan's side. You have Russo's side. Then you have guys like Eric Bischoff who said he wasn't even a part of any of this. He doesn't know anything. And Hogan says that he was halfway to Tampa on his private plane when he heard someone say, hey, just so you know, Russo just cut this promo on you. And, I guess him and Russo had words over the phone and stuff. And then Hogan's like, I'm not coming back. This ain't worth my time, blah, blah, blah. He never did. I believe 2 years later, he shows up in WWE. So I mean, I don't know what to say. The whole thing was just weird, it's weird. I disagree with Vince Russo on a lot, 99% of 99.9 and a half more percent. So this is that 0.5% time I will ever agree with Vince Russo. I do believe that he laid out the match for Hogan. Hogan's like, well, brother, what are we going to do, brother? And Russo said, bro, this is the idea, bro, and it's going to be great, bro. So, bro. And he lays out his plan. And then Hogan goes, oh, I can't do that, brother. No, brother, the legions of fans, brother, the Hulkamaniacs, brother. Bro, I'm telling you, bro. God, I would love to be in a room just hearing these two going back and forth. But anyway, I do believe Russo. I do believe that he had this plan, and I believe that maybe Hogan was even on board. Maybe Hogan wanted to execute, but at the last minute was like, I don't want to do that. So I don't know, but I'm for this one instance, I am actually inclined to believe Vince Russo. I don't know if it's true, but it just seems to me that it kind of falls more or less on Hogan. Because I do feel like it's something that just Hogan would do. He's played politics all over, up and down the country for 3 decades. So, yeah, of course I'm going to believe Russo in this case. Now, do I believe every word Russo is saying? Absolutely not. I don't think Russo's given us the complete, truthful story, but I do believe that there's at least more truth in what he says versus what Hogan is saying. So, that's just my thoughts on it. What do you guys think? Do you think that this whole thing falls more on Hogan? It falls more on Russo, or maybe it was Bischoff, maybe you just don't care because it's been 18 years since it happened. But either way, I do believe that Russo is telling the truth. But anyway, let me know what you think below, and be sure to catch Pro Wrestling Podcast this Sunday, usually around 10 a.m. And, we upload the show right here on YouTube and all that good stuff. You want to hit up the show. The Gmail is prowrestlingpod@gmail.com. Once again, prowrestlingpod@gmail.com. The Twitter page is @ProWPodcast. Once again, @ProWPodcast. Available on iTunes, Podcast Act, Spreaker, Amazon Alexa, right here on YouTube. My name is Nick. I'll see you guys next time.